Hi there, Fountains community. Welcome to the studio celebration. It is so fantastic to be here with you virtually. As many of you know, I am a pastoral apprentice at Encanto Community UCC this summer, and so I haven't been as present with you all, whether it be on Sunday mornings or in some of the other gatherings. And I just wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to the congregation and to the staff here at the Fountains for supporting me in this endeavor. I know how much, or I should let you know how much I really appreciate it. I feel your well wishes and your prayers and all of that. And I'm excited to bring all of this experience back to you all to continue to support you. Well, I wanted to say welcome to our studio this morning. Whenever you are watching this, it is yet another powerhouse sermon and music and special opportunity for us to gather. I miss you and I can't wait to see you all soon. I hope you're being safe. I hope that you are taking your time and enjoying all of these really special moments. And I hope that you are making love like real for everybody out there, that you're putting it first in everything that you do. So thank you for you. Thank you for everything. Be well, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.
Join me as we get in the Spirit. Let there be joy in our coming together.
Let there be truth heard in the words we speak and the songs we sing.
Let there be help and healing in our disharmony and despair.
Let there be silence for the voice within us and beyond us.
Let there be joy in our coming together.
May we be nurtured by the presence of the Spirit.
Let's walk together for a while and ask where we begin to build a world where love can grow and hope can enter in, to be the hands of healing and to plant the seed of peace, singing welcome to this place. You're invited to come and know God's grace. All are welcome, the love of God to share, 'cause all of us are welcome here. All are welcome in this place. Let's talk together of a time when we will share a feast, where pride and power kneel to serve the lonely and the least, and joy will set the table as we join our hands to pray, singing welcome to this place. You're invited to come and know God's grace. All are welcome, the love of God to share, 'cause all of us are welcome here. All are welcome in this place. Let's dream together of the day when earth and heaven are one, a city built of love and light, the new Jerusalem. this place.
Let's affirm the Fountain's mission together. As followers of Jesus,
We put love first.
As we enter into this time of centering, I invite you to take a moment with me to breathe deep, to center down, as I read to you a selection from one of Rabbi Rami's books of poetry and psalms called Accidental Grace. So let's settle in and hear these words appropriate to our Sabbath theme today, called renewal. Life isn't only doing. Stillness, too, is life. And in that stillness, my mind cluttered with busyness quiets. My heart racing to win rests. And I hear your whispered truths. May the time soon come when I can listen without speaking, speak without scheming, act without prejudice. May I learn to enter the silence and there encounter the ineffable. May I learn to live without labels and thus meet the nameless. Let me establish peace throughout the world, letting justice and mercy shape all my deeds. May the time soon come when I and all the world sanctify life with truth, drawing upon the source of peace to make peace in our own lives. May we breathe deep as we enter into this time of quietness.
There's a spirit of love in this place. There's a spirit of love in this place. You can't see it, but it's there, just as precious as the air. There's a spirit of love in this place. Oh, hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. We bless your holy name. Oh, hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. There's a spirit of love in this place.
there comes a point when all has been given, resources exhausted, energy drained, love spent.
Yet the body is built to move on, seemingly unaware of its own limitations. As though forged for another purpose, it takes its rest and rises to lift us into another day.
As the earth spins us into the light, may we see in each new morning both the things we love and those we hate, so that we might again push toward exhaustion, aware that we are the creators of the world.
And as we fall away from light into darkness, may our rest be as gift, the sweet repose of work well done, the Sabbath moments of tranquility. As those whose dreams once dance on a distant horizon, we offer ourselves to the morrow.
This is our prayer.
We offer this time of quiet, bringing our whole selves in the name of the one who taught his first followers to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
There's the presence of peace in this room. There's the presence of peace in this room. In God's tenderness is found peace that passes human bounds. There's the presence of peace in this room. Oh, hallelujah, sing hallelujah. We bless your holy name. Oh, hallelujah, sing hallelujah. There's a spirit of love in this place.
Hey all, back in June I let you know about the vital repairs necessary on both the sanctuary sloping roof and the flat roof on the bell tower. As the estimate our trustees received for these repairs was far beyond our savings, the council initiated an emergency fund drive to raise $60,000. Before we even put out that ask to you, our trustees and council led by example by pledging 40% of that goal, or $24,000. The good news is that since then, we've received donations that have nearly doubled that initial figure, bringing us to $47,000 towards our $60,000 goal. But we still need $13,000 to get us to our goal. Repairs have already begun on the roof, and we're confident that this fix will keep the monsoon rains out of the sanctuary and off the cell tower equipment in our bell tower for years to come. If you haven't had a chance to participate in this effort yet, I encourage you to consider making a generous donation towards our last $13,000. You can send a check to the office, or to donate electronically, go to give.weputlovefirst.org or download the Vanco mobile app and search for The Fountains. Then, when you're on our secure giving page, look for the category Roof. Whether you're a seasonal visitor or have only ever visited the fountains virtually, we know that you know how important it is to have a roof on the sanctuary to help us keep putting love first in both Fountain Hills and, by extension, around the world through the studio. So, as followers of Jesus at the fountains, be it digitally, seasonally, or in person, your generous gift toward these vital repairs is cause for gratitude. Thanks in advance for your support.
Every day, the Fountain strives to put love first, both in person and online.
And if you're one of our many regular online viewers, we're grateful for your participation as a digital member.
Every week, you hear about all the many ways you can give electronically to support this online outreach, like using the QR code on the screen, giving to give.weputlovefirst.org, or downloading the Vanco mobile app. Then when you're on our secure giving site, be sure to look for the line that says Studio Celebration Donation.
A contribution here lets us know you're out there, that the studio is important to you, and that you want to be part of supporting this growing digital outreach.
So wherever and whenever you're watching, we're glad you're joining us.
And thanks in advance for supporting the studio financially.
Our hearts in the light, open wide. We are here in the light, giving voice in the light to the truth. In the light we divine. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the light, giving hope in the light we create, in the light better days. We are born in the dark, we are fed in the dark, we connect in the dark through the veil. We are held in the dark, we are healed in the dark, mysteries in the dark we reveal. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the dark, giving hope in the dark we create, in the dark better days. Time is now. We begin where we are. We begin, we have all. We begin that we need to renew. We begin to release. We begin to rebuild. We us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin to create. We begin better days. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the light, giving hope. In the light we create. In the light, better days, showing love. In the light, giving hope. In the light we create. In the light, better days. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because God's given Jesus Christ the Son. And now let the weak say I am strong. Let the poor say I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because God's given Jesus Christ the Son. Give thanks.
Our passage from Exodus today joins the story of the Exodus already in progress. The Hebrews have escaped from Egypt, and they arrive at the mountain in chapter 19 and stay for a very long time. Whew, they got away from Pharaoh. But now what? In Exodus 19:8, before Yahweh says anything about commandments, the Hebrews say, "Whatever you command, we will listen to and obey. Whatever you want, because whatever you've got has got to be better than Pharaoh." And what they got is the 10 Commandments. Most of them are pretty obvious guidelines for living in community. Don't steal, don't lie, don't kill. But one of the commandments in particular is so radical an alternative to the commandments of Pharaoh that it stands today as one of the unique gifts of the Jews to the whole world.
Our words of wisdom are from Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. You and your family are to remember the Sabbath, set it apart, and keep it holy. You have 6 days to do all your work, but the seventh day is to be different. It is the Sabbath of the eternal your God.
Keep it holy by not doing any work. Not you, your sons, your daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, or any outsiders living among you. For the Eternal made the heavens above, the earth below, the seas, and all the creatures in them in 6 days.
Then on the seventh day, God rested. That is why God blessed the Sabbath day and made it sacred.
Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Thanks be to God.
On my first visit to Jerusalem, I had a professor who had studied at a yeshiva to get a better understanding of Orthodox Jewish practices. One of Dr. Fleming's jobs at the yeshiva was to tear individual squares off of the rolls of toilet paper and stack them for use on the Sabbath. Why? Because tearing toilet paper off the roll had been ruled as work by the Rebbe at this yeshiva. Now, that's an extreme example, but you get the idea. Imagine my surprise when I'm rebooting the display on my refrigerator, and in a nod to Orthodox sensibilities, my refrigerator display suddenly indicates Sabbath mode, and everything goes off. What? Well, for super observant Jews, even turning on a light during Shabbat is a violation. So, in Sabbath mode, a refrigerator's lights don't come on when you open the door. But close it quickly because the compressor's not going to come on either, unless you have one of the refrigerators that has a Sabbath delay switch on the compressor. That way, your actions can't be associated with turning the refrigerator on. Now, it's pretty clear when you're in an Orthodox neighborhood in Israel or even in New York City. On the Sabbath, there are special accommodations in hotels and other public places. But a number of years ago, I was walking into that bastion of Judaism, Ronald Reagan Hospital at UCLA, and voila, a Sabbath elevator. Makes me wonder what the density of observant Jews has to be before a Shabbat elevator is introduced. But all of the examples are part of what have become more legalistic expressions of an otherwise good idea that has come to be misused to show a kind of public piety. And it's by no means limited to the Jewish tradition. You might remember in the 1981 film Chariots of Fire, Eric Liddell, a Scottish sprinter and Christian missionary, disqualified himself from his best event at the 1924 Olympics. Why? Because the race was on Sunday, and his particular evangelical take on the Sabbath forbade him from running on the Sabbath. But for most Christians, I think the one commandment I get the sense most people are most non-committal about is number 4, keeping the Sabbath. That's just a throwback to prehistoric times. But people like theologian Walter Brueggemann think that keeping the Sabbath is the most radical of the commandments for our covenant life in the 21st century. In his book, Sabbath as Resistance, Saying No to the Culture of Now, Brueggemann writes, "Some people keep Sabbath all the while scheming for commodities. This is the epitome of multitasking. In my horizon, the most unwelcome form of multitasking is with the cell phone, on the phone while at dinner with a guest or while driving. But a much more poisonous form of multitasking is taking notes during a church service. Not notes on the sermon, but a grocery list or calls to return or deals to make. Multitasking is the drive to be more than we are, to control more than we do, to extend our power and our effectiveness. Such practice yields a divided self, with full attention given to nothing." Jesus offers an ominous characterization of multitasking in Matthew. "No one can serve 2 masters, for a slave will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." To serve God and wealth at the same time is impossible. It's like keeping Sabbath and at the same time planning for commerce. It's like making deep love, but all the while watching the clock. It is like praising Jesus while preying on the poor. Such multitasking with a divided heart means that there is no real work stoppage, no interruption in the frantic attempt to get ahead. If we practice tasks of acquisitiveness while trying to communicate humanly, we all become commodities to one another, to be bought and sold and traded and cheated. When I lived in Australia, arguably one of the least religious countries in the world, Sunday was a serious Sabbath. You'd better plan ahead because all the shops were closed. Only 2 gas stations in all of Perth, a city of over 1 million people at the time, were open. People took the day off for barbecues, sports, family, friends. Some actually went to church, but overall it was a day set apart. Take a break from the rat race and what Brueggemann would call the production consumption society. Pharaoh wants you to be working every day, no breaks, and go out and buy something. The economy depends on it. But Commandment 4 throws a wrench in all of that, and it's not unintentional. The ancient world was one of ceaseless labor. So the telling of the creation story that includes even God resting was something revolutionary. They hallowed rest. Genesis doesn't suggest a laborless ideal, but recognizes that non-doing and renewal are an essential part of life. In the first presentation of the Ten Commandments, our passage today, the connection is made between God resting and you and I resting. No longer is rest the privilege of the rich. The passage is crystal clear in saying that even children are free on this day. Slaves can't be made to work. Sojourners or immigrants can't be asked to work. What before was known as a privilege of the elite becomes a universal right of all. Even animals are free from labor on this day. Consider this for a minute. The biblical idea of Shabbat has no known parallel in the ancient world. The Sumerian, Babylonian, and Mesopotamian peoples all considered 7 as a magical number, but not necessarily good magic. The Mesopotamian lunar calendar marks the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th days as dangerous and unlucky. People were advised to stay home and minimize activities those days. The Jews, not surprisingly, took this notion and turned it on its head, making it an expression of holiness. In your face, Babylonian overlords. In Exodus 31, the Torah goes to even greater lengths to guarantee that Shabbat is central to people's lives. God says, "Keep my Sabbath as a sign between me and you for all generations." And just to be sure you're paying attention, God also adds, "Whoever does any work on this day shall be put to death." Now, you'd think that we who are perpetually tired, run down, and on the verge of exhaustion would welcome one day each week to catch our breath. Yet, Shabbat is not a winning idea for our culture as a whole, death threats notwithstanding. Most of the meaning of Shabbat is lost in the legalistic details of Sabbath law. Nevertheless, Thomas Cahill, author of The Gifts of the Jews, says the Sabbath is one of the unique contributions of the Jews to the world, because in no other tradition is the daily grind of survival brought to a stop to contemplate things beyond basic survival. The idea is to punctuate the relentlessness of work with formal times of rest. You probably remember the familiar passage in Genesis where God rests from the work of creation, delightfully anthropomorphic. But it also begs the question, does God get tired? Anyway, in the story, there's no reference of Shabbat or a fixed day, and it doesn't obligate anyone else to observe it, but it does recognize the importance of rest and renewal and associates it with something even God does. Rabbi Rami suggests giving it a try yourself sometime. Pick a day, any day. Start at sunset and go for 24 hours. Invite friends over for dinner. Invite them to bring something to read aloud and discuss that helps elevate the conversation to spiritual topics. No TV, no computer, no phone. But you can reach out to loved ones by writing letters, or write journal entries, or take a long walk with someone. Read that book you've been putting off. It isn't simply a day off, it's a day to reflect, to broaden your perspective, to connect with others and the world in a way that doesn't involve furthering superficial goals and concerns. Our Mormon neighbors practice family home evenings to devote attention to one another and conversation about important topics. Some families and communities are creating do-nothing days so they can stay home and learn that quiet time can be a better activity than driving everyone everywhere all the time. The message is to slow down and live, rather than continually doing something and being somewhere. The chores can wait until tomorrow. Here are a few practices that Fred and Marianne Brassatz have tried and recommend. Don't wear your watch or consult clocks. Stop multitasking. Don't talk on the phone while you make dinner, walk down the street, or sit with someone. If you're watching television, just watch television. Try a day of silence. You will find that when you don't speak, the pace of everything seems much slower and more deliberate. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen monk, has stated, "Life is so short, we should all move more slowly." Go for a slow walk around your neighborhood. Resist the impulse to hit the door close button in elevators. In his book, Losing Moses on the Freeway, Chris Hedges affirms the idea that Sabbath can be glimpsed in what otherwise might be disjointed everyday moments. He writes, "The Sabbath is about honoring those we love and those who love us, honoring the essence of the divine. By turning away from work, from the world, to cherish those we love, we honor the Sabbath." The Sabbath is not about one day. It's about taking time for a daughter's basketball game, a son's track race, a dinner where a family talks. Sabbath is a moment when a couple sits on a bench and reaffirms love. Sabbath is the time set aside to nurture all that gives us meaning in life, all that makes life worth living. The Sabbath is the recognition that work, that all the hours we spend making a living, are in fact the means to this end, to the ability to have and sustain love. When we ignore the Sabbath, we destroy that which we should be working to achieve. Preacher Harry Emerson Fosdick would agree and gives us our stream of thought. One who cannot rest cannot work. One who cannot let go cannot hold on. One who cannot find footing cannot go forward. Practicing Sabbath is not about showing how well you can follow rigid rules. It's definitely not about getting caught up in a culture where the rules overshadow our humanity. It's about being intentional, about setting aside time to disconnect from that which keeps us distracted from the sacred, from our own thoughts, from deepening our engagement with life. Barbara Brown Taylor writes, "At least one day in every 7, pull off the road and park the car in the garage. Close the door to the tool shed and turn off the computer. Stay home, not because you are sick, but because you are well. Talk someone you love into being well with you. Take a nap, a walk, an hour for lunch. Test the premise that you are worth more than you can produce. That even if you spend one whole day of being good for nothing, you will still be precious in God's sight. And when you get anxious because you're convinced that this is not so, remember that your own conviction is not required. This is a commandment. Your worth has already been established, even when you're not working. The purpose of the commandment is to woo you to the same truth. When we're intentional about keeping Sabbath, no matter how small a nod to the practice, we start to develop an attentiveness to life that otherwise gets overshadowed by the speed and expectations of our everyday living. Slow down. Breathe deep. You are loved, not for what you do, but simply for who you are. Be well.
Change our hearts this time. Your word says it can be. Change our minds this time. Your life could make us free. We are the people your call set apart. Lord, this time, change our hearts. Brought by your hand to the edge of our dreams. One foot in paradise, one in the waste. Drawn by your promises, still we are ruled by the shadows and the chains we leave behind. But change our hearts this time. Your word says it can be. Change our minds this time. Your life could make us free. We are the people your call set apart. Lord, this time, change our hearts. Now as we watch, you stretch out your hands, offering abundances, fullness of joy. Your milk and honey seem distant, unreal, when we have bread and water in our hands. But change our hearts this time. Your word says it can be. Change our minds this time. Your life could make us free. We are the people your call set apart. Lord, this time, change our hearts. Show us the way that leads to your side. Over the mountains and sands of the soul. Before us, moonlight, water from stone, light which says we never walk alone. And change our hearts this time. Your word says it can be. Change our minds this time. Your life could make us free. We are the people your call set apart. Lord, this time, change our hearts. Lord, this time, change our hearts.
Let us offer these words of challenge and blessing to one another as we go. Let us embrace the gift of every moment
with expectation and patience,
with hope and wisdom,
with compassion and involvement,
with openness and love,
and with courage to face the reality and complexity of life.
May the creative and empowering spirit of life be with us.
Amen.
Change our hearts this time. Your word says it can be. Change our minds this time. Your life could make us free. We